showing us your screen. So they missed half the recording. So I'm recording this for them as well as make it available for you in case you want to review anything. As we come to Access Project 3, let's go ahead and start that baby up. Bring in my Access 3 Section 2. And remember what we've done so far. We have modified the structure of our tables. Remember what we did underneath, what was it, veterinary vendors in the design view. We modified the quantity to be not just a default integer, but a floating point number with 2 decimal places. Cost was currency. We added the calculated field total amount. And let's see, and they were able to choose a product type from a type that we let the lookup table wizard help us to choose. And remember, we have options for every field. We can decide whether it's a certain size, whether there's a default value for it. Like if most of my customers were in Iowa, I could save myself typing, but I put the default state Iowa. Have rules about what could be in the text and whether or not something's required. And we did that to the veterinary vendors table. And if I ever want to see the data in there, go switch over to Datasheet View, and there's all my veterinary vendors. Remember, the ID field, that's what's used to determine who that vendor is and what all the rest of the information is about that. So remember, that's a very special field. That's called our primary key. If I click on that field, if I go back to Design View, I see that ID has a little key there, the primary key. Now on the final, you will actually be creating a table from scratch using various kinds of fields. And one of them will need to be the primary key. Remember how to do that, just click that key on, click on the key when you're in Design View. Let's close the veterinary vendors field and look at one of the central tables to our veterinary database, the appointments. Let's go ahead and double click on appointments. And let's walk through the columns here in our appointments table. We have the primary key, that just is something that goes with each appointment, gets assigned a new one each time. And if I look at the design view, I see that it's automatically numbered. I don't even have to worry about typing something in there. The patient ID though, remember that is a patient. What table is that in? That's over there in the patient table. So it's call it a patient table relationship. Date, time, treatment number. Can you guess where the treatment number is? Well, that's over in the treatment cost table. So related to treatment cost. And the veterinarian, guess what? That's a veterinarian, and it's related to a veterinarian in the veterinarian table. And the owner is in the owner table. And we've already established that link, that relationship to the owner table. We're going to be establishing those relationships. But first, let's go back to Design View. Let's go back to the patient ID. Since we know that that needs to come from the patient table, let us do something special with Mr. Lookup. Right now, Lookup is empty. How about we, instead of letting them type in a patient ID, how about we let them choose from a lookup the patient ID? Here's how that's done. I go to the pull-down bar, go down to Lookup Wizard. We're going to have the Lookup Wizard help us with this. So Lookup Wizard, oh, it's part of a relationship. Well, let's go remove those relationships so we can come back to the Lookup Wizard. So I'm going to close this, saving changes. Let's go to our relationships table. And let's remove the relationships that we want to have it become a lookup. We'll leave the owner, actually, let's remove all the relationships. because we need practice at that anyway. I click on that, delete the relationship, click on the line, delete, click on the line and delete. And we're actually going to add another relationship between the patient, the treatment number, the veterinarian owner. So we're going to add the treatment number later. So we have to remove these relationships before we can go make them lookupable. Is that a word? Lookupable. Now let's go back to the appointments table, design view. And let's have this patient ID become something that the Lookup Wizard will help us with. Down to Lookup Wizard. And we are going to use the lookup table, lookup values in a table. And you can guess what table it is. The patient ID is going to be in the patient's table. So there's our patient's table. We choose from which table we're going to get the values from. Then I click Next. And what do I want to look up? Well, the patient ID is going to be what's related. I want to see the patient name. And do I need to see what animal type? Might as well. And we might as well show breed too. Double click. Next. We'll sort it alphabetically by, how about, yeah, the patient name, I suppose. And then, yeah, we'll go next. And so now when we choose a patient, instead of having to remember, is it P1, P2, P3, I will see the name of the cute little pet. And I'll see the animal type and breed. I click Next. And yes, let's enable data integrity. And this is basically, this will actually do the relationship for me. The Lookup Table Wizard will actually create that relationship for me. So I don't have to actually go and create it. And we will do, yeah, we'll do the default value restrict delete. And I click Finish. And yes, I agreed. Yes, I'm going to save it. Now, just for fun, let's see if it has made that relationship. If I go to Database Tools, Relationships, look at that. I see that the Lookup Wizard has done that for me. Let's now do a Lookup Wizard for the treatment number. Let's have that be a lookup in the treatment cost table. So, Lookup Wizard, select from a table, treatment costs. Let's see the treatment and the animal type, and I guess we can show the cost too, just for fun. And next, we'll sort it by treatment, and then click Next. And there's an example of what I'll see. And I'm going to adjust my columns to make them a little more visible. I think it'll let me adjust the view of the column. And then I click Next. I guess cost doesn't need to be so wide. Next. And yes, enable data integrity. And finish. Yes, save the changes. And it doesn't like that. Must has been changed the last time you open it, either by the user. You want to replace the changes? Yes. Oh, it doesn't like that. Huh. Well, let's close the table, saving changes. It won't let me, oh, there it is. Now let's see if I can, maybe I have to close it each time. That's kind of annoying. Let's come back to design. Well, let's come back to design view. Let's see if the lookup was, well, let's just look at datasheet view and we'll see. When I go to patient, look at that, I have the choice, oops. When I go to patient, it gives me the choice of what patients to choose. That's what I wanted. And the treatment number, I see the treatment number that I can choose from multiple treatments. Now the veterinarian, I like that to be something I don't have to remember the veterinarian's name or number. Let's go do that. Look up to the veterinarian now as well. So again, go to Design View, Veterinarian. Lookup Wizard, help me out here. Look up in a table. It's the veterinarian table. And let's see, we want to see the last name, then the first name of the veterinarian. Do I need to see anything else? I don't think so.
Mr. May, says the veterinarian info is part of a relationship on high.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we went to the relationships table and deleted them all first.
Okay, I didn't realize we deleted all of them.
Yep, we had to delete all of them. No, because I was planning ahead, knowing that Lookup Wizard doesn't like there to be a relationship already.
Okay, cool.
So you can always cancel and come back.
Okay, cool. I'll find it.
We'll sort on veterinarian last name and then first name, just in case there's two with the same last name. That's what they'll see. The key column is always going to be the primary key of that table. And yes, enable data integrity. And finish. Save the table. And maybe I'll close it to make sure it got saved. So back in the relationships, I should now see those relationships. Patients, veterinarians. And I'm going to show the treatment cost table, and I should see the relationship that, oops, I actually put it to them. Oh, I don't see the, maybe I'll come back and do that. See, I don't see the relationship between treatment number yet. I'll come back to that.
Mr. Manning, the
Yep.
planners say that they can't save the tables with relationships.
Make
Yeah,
sure that,
I cleared my relationships and it still won't let me put in the criteria.
and have you saved the table each time?
I saved it.
It says it won't save for mine, like it just, like Microsoft won't save my tables.
And do you have the table open already? Make sure it's not open.
Well, I had the relationship too that we just opened.
Yeah, that has to be closed.
It was.
Was it?
When I did the Lookup Wizard,
And all the other tables are closed too?
yeah. And
Ah.
I just won't save it.
Well, I'll start this over here and let's see if that'll do that to me. If I remove the relationship, close, come back to appointments, design view, and go back to patient ID, Lookup Wizard, look up in a table, patients, patient name, animal type, sort by patient name,
Wait, which one are you doing this for?
patients, patient ID, Lookup Wizard, patient ID, Lookup Wizard, look up in a table, patients, because that's the patient ID I started with, patient name, animal type, she'll breed too, I suppose. Next, sort by patient name. Next. And we always leave the key column because we don't care to see that special number. And next, enable data integrity. Finish, saving the table. Is this where it's saying you can't save the table? Is that
Yeah,
where?
so I click yes on the save table, and then it comes up Microsoft Access can't create this relationship and enforce referential integrity.
Oh, that means you didn't correct the patient table like we did last time. Let's go ahead and close this. Saving the changes. In your patient table, notice all your patients begin with P's 1 to 12. Okay? If we go back and look at our appointments table, make sure that your patients are P1 to P12 and not F1. If you do see a F1 here, it will refuse because it doesn't know about F1 or C1 in your appointments table. Did you see that?
My patient IDs aren't showing up now.
You're just seeing the name?
I'm seeing nothing under patient ID.
Really? Well, let's go fix that. In your appointments table, is patient ID a short text?
Yes.
Okay. And look up. Let's see, I suppose, maybe has the wizard messed us up and it's not letting you do anything more? let's try this. Let's go and change your lookup back to a text box. Does it now show patient ID?
Yes, but it's showing it as F and C now.
Yeah, fix that. Make that P's, because there is no such patient as F or SC. They're all P1 to P12. And that's a very important thing to make this all work. This is why that data integrity is so important. It will not let us do the proper pull down for selecting a patient because there's some errors in the data. I didn't realize it would actually not even let you establish that pull down without proper relationships to patient ID. Now, once you save those, and it doesn't matter what number you assign, P1 or P11 or 10, because I believe, because we're just pretending we have some appointments for these patients. Now, we may actually do a dog rabies shot to a cat, but we're not worried right now. That would be a whole other criteria, more complexity. That treatment number, you could only select treatments for cats if your patient is a cat. That's a more complex thing you don't need to worry about. So once you correct your patient names to P1s to something, then close it and let's go back to establish that patient lookup. Then it should work. Yeah.
I did it to ask, and I cleared all those relationships. It still won't let me create that relationship with the veterinarian. It still won't let me do the lookup. It says the relationship is still there even though it's cleared it.
Okay, let's come take a look. Well, first of all, look at your veterinarians. Do you have, these are your veterinarian IDs?
Yep, those are my veterinarian IDs.
Okay, and then let's look at the appointments. And in the veterinarian IDs, let's see, I'm going to mess with this one. I'm going to go do the same thing to veterinarian ID. I'm going to make that in the lookup, I'm going to change that to a text. And do you see the valid veterinarian IDs in?
Yeah, they're all there.
They're valid?
Yep.
All right, let's come and see what's going on then.
So I have this here.
All right, close the table.
I clear all those relationships.
Okay, so I'm just going to close the relationships table. You have to have that closed.
Okay, and then I go here. So unless there's like another relationship.
Let's get back to the relationships. Make sure close this, close the table. Go back to relationships. Hiding anywhere there. Okay, let's go. What you did, you removed the table. You didn't delete the relationship. Okay. You have to delete the lines. That removes the relationship. Just hiding the table does not remove the relationship. So you have to click on every line and delete the line like I showed you. Don't just delete showing the table. You have to delete the line.
All right. Okay.
Probably click on each line and hit delete. Just hit the delete, click, select the line, hit delete. Delete. See, that's backspace. Delete. Under the D, Del. Oh, there. Okay. And delete every line. Deleting the table doesn't delete the relationship. You only type the relationship. All right. Yeah. All right. Now you have to save it. Close it and save it. Close it. Close the relationship. Or it's not happy. Now you're ready to go.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, did yours work?
For the patient ID, it did. And then I tried to the veterinarian one, and it just said
Let's go up to your relationships and see if maybe I've got some problem with that. So leave that one, or did you already do that one?
that was the one that the patient ID.
And it's working. And what was the other one you were working on?
The other one was the treatment one.
Okay, close that. Go back to relationships. You have treatment costs. So you have treatment number right there, and it's not showing the relationship there. Okay, so close that. Good. And treatment number. Yep. And treatment costs. And you want to do treatment. And that's cost one. And next. What is our treatment site? Treatment, yeah. Yeah. And enable and table not be saved. Short text. Okay, close that. Close the table. And no. Now let's go back to, let's look at our treatment cost. Yeah, treatment cost table. So I see treatments T1, T4. Okay, close that. And let's look at appointments. And I see treatments. See, I look up there. Drawing on that. And which one is it not sharing? Was it?
The,
But it looks like it's there when I use the data. You can see the treatment number. It's doing what we want in the treatment number. Huh. I would say ignore it because it's doing what we want. Weird. Okay, I'm going to quick catch up to you. Do the same thing for the owner, and see if we make that work. Lookup Wizard. Look it up in the owner's table, right? Let's view the owner's last name, then first name. I think that's all we need to see for the owner. Sort by last name, then first name. And yes, I'm going to hide key column and enable data integrity. Saving relationship, yes. Worried about rules, I'm going to go ahead and continue anyway. And go back to my appointments table, make sure I have those other ones in there. So let's go back and see what I have. Data sheet view, so I have the treatment number, the owner, and if I stretch out the owner column, I'll see, oh, I don't get to see both last name and first name. Huh. Let's do the same thing for veterinarian. Have that be a lookup in the veterinarian. Last name, then first name. And
wait for veterinarian.
yeah.
Mine says that I can't change the data type because it's already in a relationship. So did we already do that one?
relationship trap.
Yep. And that's another thing. When you have these relationships, it cannot create the relationship unless the data type is exactly the same from one table to the other. So if you accidentally left it at auto number in the veterinarian table design, when you created the veterinarian table, if you left veterinarian ID to be auto text, auto number, it won't work because you can't make a relationship with two different data types. It refuses to have that relationship. And back to the appointments table, I think there was one more. If I look at the view, yes, patient ID, I'm redoing that because I had done that already. And undone that. Lookup Wizard. Oh, let me change that. Maybe it'll let me change it right here. Maybe not. Let's see. No. Let's see. I guess I have to go remove that relationship before it lets me redo it. That was the patient, right? Forget what it was now. Yeah, the patient. I have to go remove that relationship. Boy, it's not very nice to you, is it? It's the relationship gets in there. You have to manually remove it if you want to undo the lookup table thing. Then I come back to the design view of appointments and redo the patient lookup in a table, patients, patient name, animal type, breed, sort by patient name. That's what I'll see, and finish. Oh, enable integrity, and then finish. Now, look how cool it is now. I can see the patient selected from the list. The treatment number, multiple choice selected from the list. Of course, it's not perfect. It should, if it's a canine, should only show me canine treatments. So we'll leave that to the database programmer. Here I can choose my veterinarian, and here I can choose my owner from the list, rather than remembering them by their number. Now this is a lot of complex stuff that just shows you the capabilities of databases. The main thing for you to remember is what that integrity relationship means. Maintaining integrity in the relationship. Let's look at that again in relationships. Referential integrity means I better not be trying to refer to a patient that does not exist. In the book, they had us turn on Cascade Update. Watch what happens if I turn on Cascade Update and decide to change the ID of a patient. I click OK and click Close, and I go to my patients table, and I decide I want to call this patient P90. Let's see, we'll do one that we know is in our table. Let's change P1 to P111. Because of the Cascade Update, when I close this and I view my appointments, the reference to that patient is still there, even though the patient ID changed. Now, sadly, well, let's see, I guess I could go back and show the key field to show you see that the patient ID is different, but I'm still remembering who that patient was. Let me see if I can do that in the datasheet view underneath patient ID. Yeah, I don't want you to have to worry about the details. I know I could see it, I think, by just turning that from a 0 to a 1. But there I see patient ID P111 shows up in my appointments table because when I updated the name cascaded to any other references to it. That's what that cascade update means. So if I go back to patients, change P111 back to P1, and close my table, he immediately shows that updated reference. Don't worry about having to remember how to do all this. Only that it's possible. That's the main thing for you to remember. That all those things are possible. Rather than remembering an ID, I can have it look it up for me. Don't worry about all those details of how we did it. Excuse me. And that is it for Access Project 3. Just giving you a taste of all the things that can be done. And if it's not working perfectly for you with this whole lookup thing, don't worry. As long as you know how to get to the relationships to view them. It's bothering me that treatment costs, for some reason it doesn't recognize that relationship. I'm going to make that relationship manually just because I know that relationship is there. I'm going to drag treatment number to treatment number value, enforce referential integrity, and create. You can create relationships by hand or let the Lookup Wizard do that for you. That is something you will need to remember, how to establish a relationship in the relationships view, drag one to the other, and enforce referential integrity. And AC3 is done. Go ahead and save that, upload it to Schoology, and then we'll begin the work on the world's most important database, the Holy Scripture database. And while you're doing that, I will get it ready for your viewing on Schoology. There were problems in Section 1, so I'm going to fix it before you have the problem. They weren't able to download it all the time. So I'm going to go to the Bible database homework and fix that really quick. Download that data file. Put it in a link in Schoology just in case you have a problem getting to that link. So I'm going to add that file there.
I don't think you have a due date for us for that one.
Well, we'll fix that. It'll be before Thanksgiving. How about Friday?
This Friday?
This Friday.
Oh.
We'll be done. Well, actually, we'll be done with it in class probably Wednesday.
Fabulous.
We might not have class on Friday then.
No, we're going to help you practice Excel on Friday.
Lucky us.
Yeah, Friday will be review to help you be ready to ace the final. Okay, so now let's go to the Bible database homework. Query practice. Now there's two places. I originally had just this link to my Google Docs. If you click on there and get this, and then you can download the file. Go ahead and download it from there. Some had a problem with this page showing up. So I also added a link at the bottom of that assignment. That's exactly the same database. Can you believe the Bible fits in 11 megabytes? 11 megabyte database.
You want us to download that?
Yeah, go ahead and download that. That is what we're going to open and create queries on, learning about this database. We'll learn how this database is structured, and then we'll start creating some queries. Practice your query skills, because that's the most powerful thing in databases.
So it's supposed to be like an access with a bunch of tables?
Yep.
Great, marvelous.
And go ahead, start exploring the tables as you download it. Give
Mine's
everyone
taking a
a
few
chance
minutes
to
to download.
get it. What's that?
Mine's taking a few minutes to download.
It shouldn't take that long. Try the other link if it just sits there looking at you.
It keeps on telling me 1 minute left. It's moving really slow.
Yeah,
And which
same
one did you
mine.
use? Did you use the top link, the here link, or the bottom
I
one?
used the bottom link. The
Oh,
top
that
link
would.
hasn't loaded yet either.
I blame that on
My
Schoology.
assignment, the internet wasn't letting me do it.
So if you click the other one, you'll see this if it works, and then you can click download. Don't try to open it with anything. Just download it.
Okay.
Try to
Yeah,
open it with
here,
something
I'm trying to
that'll be
upload it.
crazy. I was actually able to get this viewer to work, but it's pretty worthless. It just lets you see the tables. And to run queries, you have to know the SQL code, which you don't want to have to learn. So once you've downloaded
Every
that,
single verse in the Bible in it.
yes, it does. In KJV.
Yeah. Sorry.
So once it's downloaded, you can just click on the download. And I'll go click to where I had downloaded mine.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
And it was how many years? Maybe 5-10 years ago. I found I did a search for Bible database, and I was surprised that there weren't as many around. There's their. Where did it go? Did I not download it? I thought I downloaded to this section. Let's try that again. Maybe I didn't complete the download. So I click the download, saving it to my section 2. There it is, cs101 KJV. Okay, so when I browse over to it, oh, I know what. I am in the wrong folder. I'm not in a browser. Thought I was. Let's go back to that folder. Well, I'm still not seeing it. What happened to it? Am I blind? Download that again. Maybe I didn't download. Oh, I'm probably on the. Oh, I'm on that disk. It's saying it's downloading. It's saying it's done. I guess I'm just blind. It was, I was viewing it in the wrong way. That drove me crazy. I was viewing it in icon view, and I'm used to seeing it list view in one vertical column. I missed the second column. So here it is, opening up the Bible database over here in the second column. Now let's explore this database before we worry about writing any queries. Let's see what's in it. Everyone able to find that, download it, and open it? The very first one, we click on that, you can see that that is the text of the Bible, all 31,103 records. And I see that the bib ID just keeps increasing all the way to the end. So I can grab its slider all the way to the end. I see, yeah, it goes all the way to 31,000. Oh, it does, yeah, 31,103. And then I see there is a chapter and verse number for every text, and then the narration of the text in King James, and the book number. That looks like 1 for Genesis, 2 for Exodus. Okay, and then I have a red check mark. Maybe that's for my Bible reading plan. Okay, let's explore the Bible Master. I see this table has an ID, MAS ID, manuscript ID apparently. Goes all the way from 1 to 66 with a Moses OT and NT in there. And an ORN for OT/NT field here. Oh, and a MAS real name. It looks like a more readable name for the same name of the book there with the abbreviated name. So those columns, those are the two main tables. Let's just take a look at the other tables as we explore this database. Blank master, it's like, oh, someone was starting a table, they never finished or put any data in it. Okay, not very useful. Help describes what this database was for, and maybe do they have authors? There may be some contact information. It looks to me like someone was actually planning to build a Bible search program and kind of abandon it, or maybe they just gave us the initial copy and they went on to produce a product and they're selling it. I don't know. And I made adjustments, so I'm going to click Save Changes. So a few notes. So you can see that you can actually have a table that just contains textual information, like help, multiple records that just have some help for us with some help text. I want to look at the design of that. I can always right-click Design View and see that the help is short text. I could have made that long text and they would have been able to put more help. Notes on translations, okay. Not sure what that's about. An okay table. Settings. If they were perhaps, again, planning to make a program where they look up in the settings table what is checked for various settings for display or something. Not useful to me. SN, something about a date and a text. No comments to explain, unless I view design view. Nope, no descriptions to explain what these are supposed to be. Switchboard items. Again, if I were, you can actually make a thing called a switchboard to actually switch between different pages, and a couple spelling errors in there. And last one, translations. Some notes about, looks like meanings of various translations. Again, it looks like they were planning on a Bible program and then abandoned or gave us the copy of while they were halfway done. So really the only tables we care about are this one and this one. Because this has the names of the books. This has the raw data with a number for the name for the book instead of the name of the book. Okay, so now let's see what query could we generate. The first query we would like to generate is display Psalm 23 sorted by verse number. Psalm 23. Well, let's just get started with any query here and figure out how close we can get. So let's do create, query design. And I know if I want to see the text, I need the VASV table. And it only knows a book number, so I need the Bible master table, a Bible master table for the book number, for the actual name of the book. And I didn't go to database tools and show that relationship. I can do that. But for now, I know that the book number here is related. I can drag it and do the join manually to the MAS ID. So if I look up a book, I know it's connected to a book with a name, and the real name I'm looking for will be Psalm. So let's double click the real name, and let's double click chapter, verse, and narration. And view. Without any criteria yet, I will see the entire Bible, viewed in order. It happens to be entered in the table in sorted fashion, so I'm good with that. But I'll go back to design view and make sure that I do sort by chapter and then by verse, just so in case there's anything out of order, I'll make sure it's in order with the result of the query. And do I get 31,000 results? Yeah, 31,103. Amazingly fast compared to expensive databases to have all of that pop up so quickly.
How did you order it? Sorry.
Oh, but I've got a problem. I'm ordering it by chapter and verse, but there's a problem. It's not coming out Genesis, Exodus. It's giving me all of chapter 1, verse 1 first before anything else. So we got a problem. We need to put in the book number, put that further to the left than anything else, and make sure we're sorting ascending on book number. Even though I don't care to see the book number, I can uncheck show me the book number.
Oh, mine's going in order.
Well, that's because you haven't sorted ascending on chapter and verse yet. Now I order by book number, and then within the book, chapter and verse. If you hadn't done any sorting, it'll probably come out all right because the data happens to be put in the order it went in the Bible, Genesis, Exodus. But to make sure I'm doing the correct sorting, in case someone decides to reorder the data in the table or didn't put it in the exact order, I can make sure to sort ascending on book number, then on chapter and verse, and now I have my narration. And just for fun, I can see what book number Genesis is. Now, though, I want to actually only see Psalm 23. Now, I could go down to Psalm and see that that's book number 19, or in the criteria, I could put PS star, or that's the real name of the book, begins with PS star, and then ends with star, and then the chapter 23 for the criteria on the same row. So I'm looking for the book PS something, chapter 23 only, and now look what I get, Psalm 23 query. So I'm going to save this query as instructed. The instructions say give it the name query underscore PS23. So I give it query underscore PS23. And I see that query now pop up over here in my list of queries. See how easy that happened. We chose book name, number, chapter, verse, narration. Remember, the only reason we chose book number to make sure we sort by the book number in biblical order. And then add the criteria later. Let's do another query. Making a form for the verses of Psalm 23. Well, I can close this query. I'm done with it. But this is giving me Psalm 23. So I can use my 3-click method for creating a form to view Psalm 23 as thusly. Click the query that gives me Psalm 23, click Create, and click Form. It's that easy. 3 clicks, and I have a form for viewing the output of that query. And I can do a Control-S, save this, and I'm going to call it Form PS23.
And in my test, I can't save changes because I don't have exclusive access to the database.
You need to close your database, close your tables before you, and close the other version of the database.
Mine doesn't have a tab at the top for closing it. How do I close it?
Yeah, mine doesn't either.
Right click or click on the X in the upper right, because there are little 2 X's lined up, and there's a second one below the first X.
I'm not seeing it.
So, see upper right corner. You see 2 X's up there. Upper right corner. You see 2 X's. There's an above one and a below one. Okay. That's the below one. Being below the other X. There's another below one.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it's not showing you tabs anymore like it was before.
Yeah, that's the one I was using before. I just tried to click on the tab.
So maybe it may be some property in this database that the settings for this database are hiding the tab. Okay, I hadn't noticed that because it didn't do it for me. And you can just click the X to close the form. All right. Yeah. You don't have it. Are you logged in as student, or what are you logged in as?
I'm logged in myself.
And you don't have it open up multiple times? Let's try and stick to it. Oh yeah, you do have access open 3 times. You have access open. That's why you're doing that move. Do it. Having access open multiple times will really mess you up. Well, we'll stop there, and we'll do more queries on Wednesday. You are learning just basic use of access and how it can be very quirky. Like, it lets you run it 3 times. It didn't tell you until you come in the middle of something. Sorry, there's exclusive access. Like, come on, Access. Why didn't you tell me that when I started? Don't open the same database twice. That is one of the quirks of Access. They don't make it so easy. And I also learned that even though I can put underscores in query names, it doesn't let you put underscores in form names. You'd think if it allowed in one, it would allow in the other. But sorry, no. I changed this underscore to a dash, and then it will let me save it.
If you change it later, though, like if it's already saved and you go and rename it, it'll let you put an underscore in.
No kidding.
I just did it because it wasn't letting me, so I was like, what?
Another little quirk of Access. You'd think they'd have those things ironed out, because Access has been around for like 20 years, 30 years now. Each little version, little quirks will pile up. But that's it for Access for today. On Wednesday, we'll practice some more to get you just so good at doing the basics in Access. Then on Friday, the plan is to get you all prepared to ace the final. And I will end the recording. Here, there we go, end recording. Can't click the stop recording button. It's not letting me reach the stop recording button. Here's some. There.